proof of concept for Shape of Stories, as inspired by Kurt Vonnegut. We have his fortune axis, good versus ill. We have his time axis, begin versus end. And now we're going to look at the shape of a story I call Don't Go Near That Beautiful Cliff. It's a wonderful day. We start out on the good side of the fortune graph, and we're going to have ourselves a fine day as we work our way across the other side, except for one thing. Somewhere down here is a cliff. It's a scenic cliff. The view is beautiful. Somewhere up here, we have a Cassandra figure. You don't have to have a Cassandra figure for the scenic cliff story, but it helps. Because the Cassandra figure represents the audience, the reader or the viewer. Because the reader or the viewer has read the back cover of the book, or they've seen the movie trailer, and they know there's a cliff out here. And they know that sooner or later, somebody's going to be falling off that cliff. Because what fun would a story be if no one ever got near this beautiful cliff? So the Cassandra figure is saying, hey, watch out. Look out for that beautiful cliff. And everybody immediately says, beautiful cliff? And doesn't quite fall into the bad side, because it's too early in the story yet. And the Cassandra figure is saying, good thing you listened. Otherwise, you might have fallen off that beautiful cliff. Beautiful cliff? We gotta see that. And now things are starting to get bad. Maybe at this point, somebody falls off the beautiful cliff. Now, it might not be an actual cliff, but it might. It might be that this is the beach. And somewhere out here in the beach is a shark. It might be that this is a jungle. And somewhere out here is dinosaurs with big teeth. It might be a natural disaster looming, earthquakes or volcanoes. It's something that could go wrong, and that your Cassandra figure says, this is going to turn out badly. And everybody else is, la 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 la, you're such a doofus. Boy, that view is good. But now we've just lost somebody off the cliff. And now we got to send more somebodies out to rescue. Maybe the person's not completely dead. So now more people are falling off the cliff, but eventually, we pull to safety. Whew. We've learned our lesson. We're not going to fall off that cliff anymore. And Cassandra says, see, I told you. But somewhere out there now are the people who are enticed by that cliff. They might be enticed because there's money to be made off that cliff. Or they might be enticed by curiosity. What's out there? What's on the other side of that cliff? I want to know. They might be enticed by anger. That cliff killed somebody important to them, and they're going to make it pay. That works better if your cliff is something more active, like a shark or a dinosaur. You don't usually see people wanting to take revenge on a hurricane. But they've got reasons why that now they're going to push people farther and farther and farther and farther and farther and farther and off the cliff. And now you start losing people. Oh no, Mr. Bill! You start losing people in larger numbers. People are starting to take you seriously, but now these people up here, now they're scared. They were wrong, and they don't want to admit it. So they start fighting back. Yeah, they'll put forth the effort to try to stop the problem. They'll pull people back from the cliff and feel like, we've done it, we've solved something, we've really made it better, and now everything's safe, and now you can all safely go back and look at the beautiful cliff. And now you're fighting for your lives, the last few survivors. This might even be the classic slasher film or the Halloween type, sleepaway camp type, where you're going off into the woods, and boy, every person who's ever gone off into these woods has come back a corpse. But we think it's important to go out into these woods because we've got our own fun and games to play, and we don't really believe it. And now you've got the end of the film, where a few lone survivors, barely struggling to get by, somehow come back and survive out of the cliff and live to fight a better day. Yay! Yay! Let's just forget about these people and these people and these people. Man, sometimes in some of these stories, the number of survivors as opposed to the number of casualties. Survivors, 2, 3, 4, handful. Casualties, left and right. Often casualties, including people among this group who got their comeuppance. This is why the Cassandra figure is so important. Even the Cassandra figure isn't in the story warning people. The Cassandra figure is in the eyes of the readers. They want to see it happen. They know it's going to happen. The fun for them is guessing how it's going to happen. It's guessing who's going to take it, who's going to deserve it, and who's going to be the ones to survive. There's a classic Hitchcock allegory, not the right term, classic Hitchcock discussion of suspense, where he said suspense is when you take a simple scene of a bunch of people dining in a restaurant, having conversations, boring as crap. Take that same scene, shoot it the same way, except before it starts, show the audience, not the characters, show the audience a ticking time bomb under one of the tables. And suddenly every conversation, every nuance, every person who gets up and leaves to use the bathroom, it's like, this one's going to survive. Or every new person who comes in, is this one that's going to get blown up? That you've made the audience in on the disaster that's coming. And maybe the disaster won't come. Maybe somebody will find out and stop it. So this is the purpose of the cliff, is to make the reader or the viewer wonder, is it going to happen? Is the disaster going to happen? Who's going to get caught? And what will happen along the way? And who will die? And who will live? This is the story shape that I call, don't go near the scenic cliff. And you know they're going to. This is Martin L. Shoemaker, author of Today I Am Carrie, and the upcoming hard science fiction story, hard science fiction murder mystery romance, The Last Dance. And this is today's episode of The Shape of Stories. Thank you.